Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back into the Blizzard Arena. We have an awesome crowd. You guys are awesome, right? Make some noise. That's your cue. There we go.
They're learning.
It's still early here for gamers in Los Angeles, but we just saw an awesome semifinal if you're a Vancouver fan. Not so much if you're a Seoul Dynasty fan, but one thing we wanted to see coming into this one was how are the main tanks going to fare? And Bumper, he was pretty confident that he'd be able to match up against Fissure.
So confident, unbelievably confident, and the guy is so incredibly good as well.
All right, well, Bumper, if you missed it earlier on Watch Point, here it is one more time. Here's what he said before the game.
If you have to choose from the Overwatch League teams a tank player that you kind of want to prove to the world that you are a better tank or a better player. 자, 쉽게 말하면은 오버워치 리그 팀에서 이 선수, 이 탱커 플레이어보다는 내가 잘한다라고 한 명을 꼽자면 누가 있을까요?
서울 다이너스의 피셔님보다 제가 더 잘하는 것 같아요.
Seoul Dynasty, Fissure, if you're watching this one's for you.
All right, there you had it. He wanted to face off against Fissure. Do you think it's official, guys? Is Bumper the better tank? Was this a fair judgment to make?
I'm not sure it's really a fair judgment to make because I think that it's very much a team game, Overwatch.
Yeah.
And Fissure's team doesn't support him in the same way that the Titans invest all of their resources to make sure that Bumper just crushes the enemy line. But I do think that Bumper is probably the best or one of the best main tanks
Okay,
we've
you
got
can say
in the
it.
league
You
at the
know,
moment.
it's not apples to
say it.
oranges, Josh. You can't.
Yeah.
You can make the claim. I'll make it for you.
He crushed him.
All right.
Crush him.
All right. I think we'll see a lot more of Bumper versus Fissure, but for now, let's take a look back at some of the action from our second half. It was 2-0 to Vancouver. Then we said, all right, well, Seoul, you're the loser. You get to pick the map 3. Josh, you said they should go for Anubis.
Yep.
And Seoul, on the attack, they completed both points.
They did, and they were running really interesting strategies. You see the composition from Seoul at the top left, and they're running a lot of DPS heroes. They put out a huge amount of damage, and it caught the Titans off guard a couple of times. So Seoul clearly had a game plan going into this, but when things got more general, when both teams were playing the same kind of heroes and rosters, again, it was the Titans that came out and dominated.
Yeah, and it's a similar story to what we've been used to when we've been watching the Titans throughout the season so far. Somin Su absolutely farming up the damage. Look at this man, just absolutely slamming through Seoul. I mean, again, a staple for this team. One of the players that I would say, I think he might be the best Zarya in the league.
I think Nene and Decay would have something to say about that.
I'm making that claim.
Okay, all right then, Brent, you've gone and made it.
Tillman too. I mean, he's the player of the match for a reason, looking so strong on this Zarya. And of course, you heard him on the comms earlier in the day. This guy's a jokester. He keeps the team happy, but I think it's pretty easy to stay happy when you're crushing through your opponent. You saw everybody having fun, picking damage dealers. Zoe, first of all, did you expect that you said a 4-0, but do you expect it to be that dirty?
Yes.
Yeah.
Honestly, have you listened to the Titans recently? Like the way they talk, they totally back it up in game. I kind of expected this to go exactly the way it went. And I couldn't be happier because they did what they always have been doing in every series they played so far, which is flexing over their opponents. As soon as they feel like, oh, we're actually going to win this, well, watch this. And then just come busting out the gates with some really interesting strats and compositions. So, yeah, I'm not disappointed.
Well, there you guys have it. We don't need to go into any more depth on that game. For if you guys missed it, check out twitch.tv/Overwatch League. Go to the videos. We always have the VODs posted later for you. But right now, it's time to get our second match for the day ready. Are you guys ready here, Blizzard Arena? It's time to send it up to our casters. We got the great ones in the building. It's Semler with Hex.
Thank you, Puckett! Oh, it's been so long since I've been waiting to do that again. We're getting into it. This is it, Hex.
This is what we all wait for, what we all play for, to watch the team in the semifinals trying to earn the right to go against Vancouver, who just punched their ticket to our finals.
Dominant form as well. Hard to go against them. I mean, going through the playoff bracket, if you look at the Titans 3-0, 4-0, you know, they were 7-0 in the group stage. They're just this unstoppable force right now. So Fusion and Shock, whoever makes it through, that's going to be our second semifinal, the one we're about to get into right now. Whoever makes it through has to go up against that beast, who is very fittingly named. I mean, they're Titans.
Yes, they are the Titans of the Overwatch League 2019 season, undefeated as an expansion team, but the Shock are a team that could give them a lot of problems. The Shock had a very difficult strength of schedule, were able to make it to the playoffs despite that. 4-3, and I think their seeding is a little bit misleading, if you will. A lot of people have them as the second or third best team in the league, and it's because of their tank play. The Super's been a monster. Sinatra's also been such a good player, but this team overall has been playing the long game. They wanted to play for year 2. They built their core around young players.
And on the side of the Fusion, I mean, these were the runners-up in the 2018 season, the inaugural season of the Overwatch League. They fell in the finals to London Spitfire, but they proved to be a dominant force throughout the season. Just real monsters and an international roster.
Right.
Not letting the language barrier get in their way, and definitely having the skill to back it up.
If you're new to Overwatch, but you're a Philadelphia sports fan, trust me, these guys will fit right in. They are the underdogs going into almost every match, but they're scrappy, they're brawlers, they're gutty, they're gritty, and they just pull it out in the end.
Exactly, Hex, that's it. And so they do have a tendency to play to the level of their opponents. So I'm excited to see this one. You know, it's like opponents a little bit lesser seed, you know, they start to make some mistakes. However, if they go up against the big dogs, they tend to perform right up there with them. So this is going to be exciting because the Shock are definitely up here. They've got a huge level going into the semifinal. But our first team to make it to the stage is going to be the San Francisco Shock. Good. There you have it, Moth leading the way for the San Francisco Shock. Big weight on their shoulders now to make it into the finals. This is going to be proving the long-term strategy that you touched on earlier, Hex.
Right, they're a team that is built around this core. You see Sinatra there towards the end, who've been some of the best players in all of Overwatch since they were 16. Only eligible to play last year, halfway through the season when they turned 18, but that was the game plan from an organizational standpoint. We're gonna get these young phenom players, we're gonna wait on them, and then we're gonna build a monstrous franchise.
There you have it, Super, Sinatra, two young guns on this team who have certainly stepped up to the plate and showed that they deserve a spot on the biggest stage in Overwatch League in the world. This is it. Now let's go ahead and get their opponents on the stage and get this match underway. They are the Philadelphia Fusion. Glad to see that it's Neptuno leading the charge here. The support, the star, followed up by Boombox, the man who makes all the difference for this team.
We talk about gutty and gritty when we say Philadelphia, and there's no better embodiment than Neptuno. Played through injury earlier this year, had a wrist injury and some tendon problems, played through the playoffs last year. There were, Philadelphia was our runner-up last year's season, but they've just always find a way to get it done. So how do you ever bet against this team?
Yeah, didn't at one point, wasn't he down with the flu or pneumonia or some terrible thing, and he was still here on stage, like competing with the rest of the team? Like, no, I got to be there for my team. And sure enough, they go on to win, despite the fact that he is mad sick.
Yes, exactly.
In more ways than one, Hex.
Carpe has been an all-star for them as well. Last year playing a lot of different heroes, but this year on the Zarya, he's a hard carry kind of player. When things go wrong and you need one person to step up and get 2, 3, 4 eliminations, Carpe's a guy who can get it done.
Mechanically gifted player, but another one just like him. Sinatra on the side of the Shock. He is a monster, Hex, and I think you are his #1 fanboy.
Well, the desk was talking about the best Zaryas in the world, and for some reason didn't say Sinatra. He's been a Zarya phenom since before Zarya was even a popular hero pick. He has been one of the best Zaryas in the entire league, does a ridiculous amount of damage.
Now you can see, I mean, right there, first number comparison, he's got nearly 4,000, well, let's say 3,000 damage more than Carpe on average. And I mean, the stats all in his favor, apart perhaps from the final blows. So the guy is a monster. He is definitely up there as one of the best Zaryas in the league. And that's what's really allowing the Shock to shine here. So much importance put on this one hero in particular.
Eliminations and final blows maybe not there, so he's not going to light up your kill feed, but he softens everybody up to allow the rest of his team to pick up those kills. And most importantly, he does so much damage, his ultimate ability comes online very quickly. Graviton Surge, the best ultimate ability right now in the game. He gets it on and wins fights with it.
There we go. Got the fans getting riled up here. We're about to get into it. Let's go ahead and take a look at our maps now, presented by Toyota. Map to kick things off will be Ilios, our control map, and this is the king of the hill. We're looking for the first team to score 2 points.
Right, and because they are the higher seed, it will be Philadelphia's choice. It makes a lot of sense. This is one of their better control maps here. The beautiful Isle of Ilios. Get right into it.
Yeah, right there, Lighthouse on your screen is the control point that they will be battling over. We will see the teams fighting here to control this point. The first team to reach 100% will take the first point of this map. So this is going to be it. No time to waste. And in terms of the rosters at the top of your screen, so you can see which heroes these teams have selected. And, well, looks like we got a mirror match to kick things off here, Hex.
Right, this is what you're going to see prevalently throughout the day. 3 tanks and 3 supports. The idea is high health heroes sustained by heroes who do healing ability, long drawn out brawly fights.
Yeah, revolving around the mega abilities, the big ultimates, the ones that they're charging up constantly and then have to use together to work together. So a lot of coordination required here to make these strategies work for either of these teams. So we're going to see who's on point here, who's going to let the nerves rattle them right out the gates, because there is a lot riding here on the Shock. They need to show that they are living up to the hype.
We've got a good old-fashioned high ground standoff. It's going to be San Francisco stepping down first. Now, high ground as in any sort of combat, very important.
A lot of focus immediately on the main tanks, trying to take them out, and Sato, sure enough, will get sniped by Moth. Carpe having to back off. As soon as you have that tank focus come through, as soon as you have that death of your big shield-wielding damage sponge, the rest of the team just fall back immediately because they know they're not going to have an edge in the fight.
Well, you saw that bubble on the screen there later. That's one of Zarya's abilities to put on either herself or her allies. The more damage that takes, the more energy she has, turning her weapon from a Nerf gun into a high-powered laser.
Yeah, looking to wrap around. Fusion, this is going to be a bit of the poke battle now. Shock have first control of the point, 22% and counting. And so the Shock looking to just try and cut Fusion off from getting onto the point, trying to find somebody overextending, and it looks like Poco will get demeched here to start things off. Might as well be a kill. That's going to slow things down here for the Fusion. Now there's no D-Matrix to worry about. Carpe going to be holding on to that grab. Now ult online for him. That's the big changer, but the grab is going to come out from Sinatra immediately, and it's full-on focus fire. They get blended on the Fusion side.
The reason Graviton is so good right now is it groups everybody together in a miniature black hole. It allows Reinhardt to swing his hammer and hit multiple enemies at once, allows him to get up to his ultimate ability, which knocks people to the ground, which we should see shortly enough.
It's fitting that you talk about, black holes, because they actually did just get spaghettified. So there you go. Out of it, and only using the one ult on the side of the Shock. They still have 5 ultimates online here, so plenty of tools to use for the next fight. It's on the Philadelphia Fusion now to close the gap. Rally from EQO to get his team in position, trying to catch somebody out on the Shock side, but the Shock wisely just backing off, giving ground. They're going to hold on this point, trying to stick together here so they can watch each other's backs.
It's a great disengagement, and at 80%, this is a fight that the Philadelphia Fusion have to win.
Wow, Trance preemptively thrown out already to kick things off by Violet, but it'll be the sound barrier to follow it up. Self-destruct, point blank, Poco once again with the triple. And that is a one fight for the Fusion.
Poco is an absolute magician. He pulls wins out of his hat when it looks like they should not get there. Self-destruct, all of that burst damage, and with no shields in front of a self-destruct bomb, everybody's going to die.
And you always see these divas, they struggle, or, it's like, oh, well, you need to set it up. They got to knock the shields out of the way. It's just like Poco's like, hold on. I'll just go ahead and drop 2, 3 quad kills all day long. Nice try there to knock him off the edge, but he doesn't quite get super out of position. So Shock holding on to this high ground for now, just taking their time with it. Choyobin's on the low.
They're looking to set it up. They've got another Graviton Surge if they want to use it. There's the big Shatter.
Shatter around the corner, instant trance use. Super getting overwhelmed. Can his team make up for the fact that they just lost their tank? They're going to commit with the grab, self-destruct, point blank. Not going to find the kills with the grab, but they do it the old-fashioned way. A matter of sustain, and now they need to hang in here, but with Carpe fully charged up on energy, he's going to be melting them. Choyobin gets flashed down instantly, and this is going to be a solid hold here for the Fusion.
What is very bad going forward for the San Francisco Shock is they committed nearly every ultimate ability they had to that fight. They went all in, to use a poker term, and they came up with nothing. They will have a Transcendence, but that's more of a defensive ultimate. And losing your main tank that early, they have to regroup.
Yeah, that's exactly what we saw with the first push on the Fusion side. Sato got clipped. The rest of the team have to fall back. And you can already see Moth back in spawn right now, just waiting to ferry Super back into this fight as quickly as possible. Starting to run low a bit on time here for the Shock. 75% on the point and counting for the Fusion. So this is getting into that territory now where the Shock, they need to win. They need to win this next fight, and they're not going to waste any time. No dancing on this side of things. EQO and Sato get cut off from the rest of their team. Successful push here for the Shock, and they're at 98%. Now it's all on the Fusion to get in here and touch the point.
They have to play desperation time. They're going to start throwing in abilities.
Oh, wow, going for the sound barrier there on Neptuno. It's the Hail Mary. He is going to get on the point once again. Instantly stunned. Excellent play from Rascal, shutting him down. Boombox moves onto the point with Trance, just trying to do everything they can here to stagger things out, to buy time, to let the rest of their team get into this on the Fusion side. But the Shock, they're sticking together. They're using their ults. They're making sure that they do not give up the advantage, and it should be them locking it out and taking the first point of Ilios.
The big fight set up there was Moth. He had a great game yesterday. He put them out of position, called it to his team. They were able to capitalize.
Nearly dead even right now, though, in terms of stats. 13 kills for the Shock, 12 for the Fusion. As far as damage and everything, it's so even right now between both of these teams. And that is kind of living up to it for Philly Fusion. You know, they tend to play up to the level of their opponents and just they like to get into these grind games where they can start taking advantage of the mistakes you make. But right now it's tit for tat, heck.
It looks very good. The knock on Philadelphia is, yes, they play up to their opponents, but they also play down to their opponents. So it's a very confusing team to try to get a read on how good are they, because they play really poorly against poor teams and really well against really good teams.
That's the thing. It's like they like to keep us on our toes. But let's see, Fusion straight out the gates, looking for redemption here. We're into the second point. Right in the middle of the map there, you're going to see this is where they're going to be fighting for control. And we'll see as it comes unlocked in 15 seconds, we're going to see who's going to get it first. So the Fusion, once again, we're in this dance now. Both of these teams just poking at each other, trying to build up the charge for their ultimate abilities. And really just trying not to die.
Sinatra, you see the energy, that's the number in the center of your screen. 90% is super high, outputs a lot of damage. He's gonna try to be poking down, doing damage on shields, will eventually crack that shield as well.
Exactly, and he is just gonna start melting him once again, up to 100 energy. Now he's really starting to hurt, and Moth is gonna be there. Beautiful play, sets it up. That's another big kill. They lose Choyobin, but then Boombox goes down, and that stuffs it here for the Fusion. The Shock get first control once again.
He's happy to throw in that ultimate because he's got high charge and he knows how fast he got that ultimate ability up. He wants to just secure the team fight. That's why Sinatra throws in the Graviton late in there. Holding far forward now is San Francisco. They would like to take a fight before the point.
Exactly, they want to make the Fusion work for it now, having to get in here. And if the Fusion overstep, if they don't get the proper read on the situation, they could be ending this fight right here. Sato drops down to half HP, but he will get topped up again.
Both the teams use Rally. Every team has armor now. Super waiting to set up an Earth Shatter. Needs to hit it where there's no barrier in front of him to put the enemy team on the ground for a brief moment.
Yeah, he's looking for it. They were clever in the past. Super made the play on the first point of this map, and so right now it's Sato just standing in his way. These are the mind games coming through, but Boombox going to preempt this with the trance. Violet going to delay his just long enough to give his team the edge in this next fight, and Choyobin eats the grab from Carpe. Not going to help things here for the Fusion. Two ultimates thrown in, Shatter as well. Neither of them getting anything, and then the Shock are there to pounce. They see it, they see the weakness, they see the mistakes being made, and they take full advantage.
Because Carpe's Graviton was eaten, or negated rather, by the enemy D.Va on the other side, that means Sinatra has now successfully hit two of his ultimate abilities to 0 from Carpe on the other side. And when you're talking about an ability which essentially wins you fights, that is huge. 80% for San Francisco now. They can take this point, they will take our first map.
Oh, they've got Rally online. Yep, sure enough, as soon as the Fusion show themselves, Rally is used by Rascal, giving everybody that armor. Self-destruct thrown in, not going to find anything. Choyobin now going to be worried, and yep, he gets cut off from the rest of his team. That's not going to help things here for the Shock. We'll see if Super can come up with the fatty shatty, if he's going to be able to find the angle, and sure enough, shield goes up, knocked out of position, lands it, and that gives his team an edge. They may still be in this, despite the fact that Choyobin's still running back from spawn.
You would have loved to have the D.Va there to clean up the low-health targets. They're going to try to put them in the corner and clean it up. Hammer, meet, anvil.
Oh, this is a big deal now. The trance is there. Shock are still in this fight. We lose Violet, but Sinatra's on top of the point blank. Double kill, and then the quad comes through. The Fusion not going to hang in here. Carpe having to back off, and that will be it. San Francisco Shock taking the lead in this series. They pick up the first map.
Sinatra and Super very happy there. Sinatra had a great game, put out a lot of damage as Zarya.
Fantastic work there from the Shock. They're living up to expectations. A 2-0 win here on the first map. We're taking a break, and we'll get into map 2 after that.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by T-Mobile. High ground or low ground, T-Mobile has you covered. And by State Farm. Whatever life brings your way, State Farm is here to help life go right.
Welcome back from the break, ladies and gentlemen. We are live with our second semifinal here of the Overwatch League. And this is the San Francisco Shock on your screen. They're in the lead, up 1-0. Format for this series is the first team to 4 points.
We talked a lot about the tanks and Sinatraa and Super, and with good reason, but the man on your screen, Moth, has been having a monstrous playoff performance. He's come up clutch so often. You'll see him on the Lucio, riding walls, getting behind the enemy team, then using his ability to displace 1 or 2 heroes. And Overwatch is the ultimate team game. If you're alone, you're as good as dead. And Moth forces you to be alone. The rest of his team capitalizes on it. He's been having a clutch playoff series so far.
Exactly, man. He is dodging those windshields, and he is attracted to the flame of glory and victory. And that is exactly what he's all about. Hollywood will be our next map in this series, a hybrid map, looking to take control of the point like we saw in the first map of this series, and then push a payload as far as they can. Furthest that they get with that payload, the better.
Our playoff rule set dictates that the losing team from the prior map gets to choose the next map of a specific type. So this was Philadelphia Fusion's map choice. They are undefeated on this map, but San Francisco Shock, no slouches themselves at 2-1. There is the first capture point, very similar to Ilios. Gain control of that against the enemy team. And then you're going to do what we've all done if you get stuck in the snow. Push a car as far as you can. That's the checkpoint that will move your spawns forward and add time to the clock so that you get a chance to push it all the way to the end, the VIP parking spot.
It's very fitting, Hex, actually, this is in Hollywood, you know, because you do go about as fast with that payload as you do in LA traffic.
That is true.
So there you go. Don't expect it to go flying along, guys. It's going to be a bit of work. It's going to take a little time. Well, let's get into the thick of things here. It's going to be the Shock starting off on offense, Philadelphia Fusion on defense. And Philadelphia right there on the high ground. Instant play there from Choi, trying to knock somebody off. And while he doesn't need to, the Fusion are going to take the fight to him. No hesitation on the side of the Fusion. EQO nearly paying for that aggression with his life.
There is almost no reason they should have been able to live through that, but the healers of the San Francisco Shock kept everybody alive. Both of the tanks fell very, very low. Right now, though, they've switched sides. They're going to do a dance on the point, trying to put pressure on it. They've already got nearly 33%.
Who's going to mess up first? That is the question now. Sato getting sniped there, but everybody on the Shock looking good, and they do manage to sneak a permanent tick of progress on this first point.
Every 33%, your progress will not diminish after that, so try and get to 66 now. Rally in.
Yeah, rally in, looking for it, trying to knock him up, trying to cut the team in half. Divide and conquer is the name of the game in this strategy. And it's going to be the transuse. Sato gets cut off from the rest of his team, sure enough. And as soon as he does, boom, Sinatra's there to pounce on him. And this is going to be a man advantage now for the Shock in this fight. It's looking good for them to pick up this first point.
2-man advantage, no tanks now, and now it's just all about the cleanup. The rest of the Philadelphia Fusion are going to get out of dodge while the getting's good. San Francisco Shock with a very quick first offensive take on the first part of Hollywood.
And they instantly try to get as much ground as possible here on the Shock's side of things, seeing if they can catch anybody out of position on the Fusion side, but the Fusion content to hold fairly far back, going to start working their way forward as the doors open, and this payload's going to start making progress here to the second point of this map, the checkpoint now. So who's going to mess up first? Carpe's got a grab online, but Sinatraa has one as well. So the two of them, game-changing ultimates, ready to go, and now it's a matter of just figuring out the angle here. Can Sinatraa catch him off guard? And looks like Carpe wants to put it point blank, perhaps. No, they're going to manage to overwhelm Moth without it. And now Shock just backing off immediately.
Yeah, the Shatter got Moth. Now everyone's just going to try to get out with their lives. Make sure you save your Zarya. That energy on the screen that Carpe has right now will go away if you get killed, and you have to work to rebuild it by putting shields on yourself and your allies. But the Zarya with the higher energy is usually going to win those duels.
Well, rally in now from EQO, getting everybody beefed up, and Carpe is going to take advantage of it. Finds the first kill of this fight on Rascal. Pause coming through. Looking like a little bit of confusion on the side of the Shock, so we'll see what's going on here as the fight is underway. 4 minutes on the clock right now for the Shock. They did manage to pick up that first point pretty quickly, Hex.
Right, they have very good offense. Pause usually indicates some sort of technical issue. We are playing on computer hardware, and everyone knows it doesn't always play nice, play fair.
It's fallible.
Everyone's just trying to get the, you want to work in ideal conditions.
Beauty of the situation here is that we've got tech support right there. There's no waiting for half an hour on the phone, exactly. And then, oh, be at your home between the hours of 8 and 5. Guy doesn't show up. Nightmare. No. Here, pros. Johnny on the spot.
Just equipment malfunctions happen in every sort of competition. That's what happened there. Looks like it might be Sinatraa at work. It could be anything from a faulty keyboard, a faulty mouse, maybe the monitor's glitching out. Who knows? We got our best guys on it.
Thing is that this is Whenever these sorts of situations pop up, you can tell the difference between the great teams and the teams that tend to struggle. This is basically a timeout.
Yeah.
You get to sit here and actually take a moment to gather up. You're on the offense now. You've already been rebuffed twice. All right, what do we need to do here while Sinatraa fixes whatever it is he's got to deal with? The rest of the team should be just figuring out what the game plan is to get some real progress here towards that second checkpoint.
Yeah, how to assess the situation. San Francisco is such an aggressive team that it's very difficult to play against because you don't always want to walk back. You have to pick your punches, right? You have to be a counter puncher against San Francisco. They're going to come in swinging. Can you hit the jab, and then can you hit the hook, and can you knock them out?
So back into the thick of things. Looks like it was just a small hiccup. And now it's going to be on the Shock now to rally themselves here. They do have ults coming online, but the same could be said for Philadelphia Fusion. Very even right now between both of these teams with the ult economy.
Well, you'll notice that San Francisco stylistically will just throw out ultimates. They get more ultimates than any other team in the league. They use more ultimates than any other team in the league. They're not always waiting for the perfect setup. They know a single good ultimate can win a fight.
Whew, that was a spicy flame strike from Sato, chunking through the entire team. Caused Shock to give pause there, but Shock right now are working on a six-pack, and they're about to crack that open. Rascal will be the one to kick off the party here with the rally. All the check marks up, and the shatter gets thrown in by Super. No hesitation on his part. Doesn't look like they're able to capitalize, but no, Sato and Carpe getting caught out.
No tanks means no win, no bueno, as the San Francisco Shock avalanche of white in the kill feed, clean up the entirety of the roster. They will get some push here through the second phase of Hollywood, often referred to as the Streets phase, Westworld. We're on a studio lot back here.
EQO doing a lot of talking on the Fusion side right now. They will have another chance here to challenge the payload on the Fusion. That's why you want to fight early, so that when you respawn, you have time to run back and challenge the payload again. The checkpoint is there, that yellow rectangle on the ground. And so the Fusion now have a chance to put up the defense once again. Grav gets them though, and the trance is used, and it's not going to be fast enough. Somehow the damage, too great. Carpe and Neptuno laid low already. And so it's Poco trying to stall things out a little while longer, but it's just not going to happen here for the Fusion. They ran headlong into a wall.
It's great use of a defensive Graviton Surge. As soon as that rally came out, that meant that Philadelphia wanted to go forward, wanted to press the issue with the armor, with the health gain. But then Sinatraa put his Graviton Surge ability into the wall, groups them all up. They can't do anything. And then the hammer comes through from Super, cleans them all up.
Just so much damage. Real tough to keep up with. Kudos to Boombox for trying, but sometimes it just doesn't go your way. So Fusion now looking for the perfect angle here to take a fight at. They are kind of hanging around at the bend. Shock see that though, they know what's going on, and so they're relentlessly pushing forward, getting quite a bit of progress on this payload. Fusion deciding now's the time to fight. Carpe with the grab to bring the Shock together, looking for the follow-up. Poco over the top with the bomb, and once again, hits Pater, and Moth is out, but we trade. Neptuno's gone as well as EQO. Somehow the Shock, once again, despite losing the man first, they are finding a way.
And they get the late rally from Rascal, who takes out his opposing number at EQO, and now just swinging away his flail. Does damage, also heals his team every time he connects with that flail on the Brigitte. Sinatraa cleans things up as well. And now this cart is nearing its final destination.
Sinatraa's got the grab. He can shut the door on him. If they try and get out through one of these choke points, that grab can hold half the team stuck. And yep, sure enough, just gonna chuck it in there. Carpe, you're not getting out. Closing the door on him, giving his team an advantage. Sato's dead, Carpe as well for the Fusion. Down 2 men. Poco trying to stall as best he can with the help of EQO. Now they're gonna get picked off one after another. The card is pretty much there, and it will be victory for the San Francisco Shock. They will find 3 points on Hollywood.
A dominant performance, 20 eliminations to only 4.
You gotta give it to the Shock. They definitely hit the ground running. It looked a little, you know, that first point of Ilios looked a little shaky, like they were trying to get their feet under him, weren't quite sure, but here, that was a very solid offense on their part. They've got 2 minutes 20 in the bank, a lot to work with, and now they're gonna be the ones that are switching over to the defense.
So the meta game, or the best strategy to how to play Overwatch, has somewhat been figured out by the pros, that you run 3 tanks, you run 3 supports. What separates the great teams from the average teams is the style in which you play. You saw Vancouver play earlier. They aggressively put their way to the finals. They play a very aggressive style. San Francisco, very similar. They are just going to run at you, and it's up to you to figure out a plan. Their plan is they're going to hit you in the face.
Straightforward. I like that plan.
That's simple.
Simple if you can keep on top of it and if you can follow through, and Shock demonstrating that they certainly can. We will have Philadelphia Fusion versus the Excelsior. New York, one of the top seeded teams in the league. They will be fighting it out.
Make sure
match of stage 2.
Make sure to join us in April when we get back to it. But we got to crown a Stage 1 champion first. Vancouver waiting. Will San Francisco or Philadelphia join them? Of course, finals tomorrow at noon Pacific. Both these teams set up with very similar compositions again. And you have to wonder if you're Philadelphia, if you end up losing this map, do you go to a map where Sato can be on his best hero? His Reinhardt play has been suspect. He dies the most on main tank or Reinhardt than anyone in the league. And on the other side of things, Super dies the least.
No, Super has been definitely shaping up well on that side. 18 years of age and already a beast, already a monster. Sato looking for his way through here. You gotta work your way through these choke points. Hoping to pounce on Choi, but Choi's too quick. Gets out of dodge just in time. He will be able to rejoin the rest of his team who are ready to shut the door on the Fusion. Fusion decided to just barrel their way through. They don't care.
They make that rotation to try to take away the high ground. High ground, of course, always gives you an advantage. Trying to lob damage in over top, yeah.
Now it's gonna be Sinatra on the high ground. Dropping low, the rest of them are there. Carpe at risk of getting deleted. He's got to be careful. He's doing a lot of damage though. Choi's going to come and back up his teammates though on that high ground, and they will continue to survive. Now it's going to be Carpe just beaming them down.
Carpe is up top though, but Choi had the pocket. You don't see that very often. A Diva taking down a Zarya.
That's no good here for the Fusion. They just lost a whole lot of damage. You can see now they're trying to regroup, trying to stick together. Boombox decides it's time to trans. They need to find an edge here. Rally by Rascal, though. It's going to help things out. The grab thrown in as well, and they're going to get wiped out on the side of the Fusion. Not a chance. Sick defense set up here by the Shock, and that's no progress made on the first point for the Fusion. And very valuable time bled off the clock.
The Fusion did commit some of their support ultimate abilities, which heal the most of the team. Boombox threw in his Transcendence towards the end. That is the big disco ball of healing. But now they have some offensive ultimates they can use to try to get into this point.
Yeah, they have the wombo combo that's possible. Carpe's grab followed up with Poco's self-destruct. And well, if ever there was a time, Poco, now would be it. And I would not be shocked to see him manage to connect another time with all three. Let's see. Right through again, same avenue of entry here for the Fusion. Gonna wrap around the backside and through the coffee shop, pause for a quick latte, and then move on.
You see stylistic differences. If you remember, San Francisco chose to go the exact opposite way on their initial offense rotations. Now it's time to go. Rally it. Sato down!
Already? Just nixed immediately. Fusion now are going to be at a loss. What do? Your main tank is cut off from the rest of you. He's going to be running back on the wrong side of things. Carpe manages to find the kill on Violet, but now you've lost Poco as well for the Fusion. And this should be a hard reset now for the Fusion. Just die as quick as you can.
It was a really small window they had there when they took down the opposing Zenyatta. Transcendence really good against Graviton Surge, but if you take out the opposing Zen, you could just throw a grab in and hope. Philadelphia chooses to play patiently, which is their style, as demonstrated yesterday. And they're gonna get as many ultimate abilities online as possible before they fight again. Here's the rub though, Semler. Both teams have nearly all their ultimate abilities online, and the onus is on Philadelphia. They only have a minute left to take this first point just to continue the map.
Yeah, this is brutal. Once again, same thing, through the choke point. Choi there to body block him, and this time they're going to hold off Fusion. They're going to try a different angle of entry. Working their way back around. The Shock well aware of this. There aren't many options, so they're going to be able to figure out which way they're coming from. And we'll see, are the Fusion capable of more here? All 6 ults online for the Shock.
All about execution at this point. Everyone has the exact same amount of resources.
And now they're just dancing. Who's going to make the mistake first? Sato gave it up last time.
Well,
Carpe drops dangerously low.
You can play patiently. They know they only have one fight. They want to make it perfect.
Rascal survives. Going to get topped up again. Ult's online. Let's see. It's just the dance now. And the rally is in, so Rascal decides to start the party. Could have EQO. EQO doesn't quite have his online, so there is an edge here for the Shock, but EQO might not waste time. Yep, sure enough, going to use his rally, try and get everybody that armor. Trying to take advantage of it. There's the grab. Snuck in, point blank by Sinatra. And Corvus gets eaten by Choi. No trade on that front. Poco self-destruct, not going to find anything there. And there's a massive advantage now, especially with Neptuno getting blown up. Choi Oven finding the kill that could make the difference for his team.
This one might be all over, but the crying of those 2 kills. However, Philadelphia does have closer respawns if they can just drag this one out. Carpe does get a kill, trying to redeem himself for the lost grab.
Oh, a chance there, but some great support on the Super. He got cut off, and that's going to be it. The Shock get the job done, and the Fusion looks stunned. Poco rolling his eyes, wondering what went wrong. 3-0 win. The Fusion have yet to get a point, Hex. 3-0 win. 2-0 on the first map. They're 2-0 in the lead. And this is the first team to reach 4 map wins. San Francisco Shock really looking up to shape.
Coca-Cola is the official refreshment of the Overwatch League. After rolling through Toronto in the quarterfinals, the Shock look to be in position to cinch a spot in the finals here at Stage 1. They're up 2-0 currently here in the semis versus Philly. Welcome back into the Blizzard Arena. We have a sweet crowd and even sweeter analysts. We got Brent, we've got Zoe, and a very quick match on our hands. The Shock have come in and they are taking it to the Philadelphia Fusion. A lot of people didn't think the Fusion would even make it this far. But now, guys, I have to get your initial thoughts. Brent, are they looking better or worse than your expectations?
I think they're playing about the same, honestly, for Philadelphia Fusion. But I got to pivot this as well to the San Francisco Shock. The one thing that I love the most about this team, they don't underestimate their opponents. They always go in with full preparation, maximum full speed ahead, and I love that. I mean, they're literally not holding against anything, against any team that they play against at all. So this is the best part with the Shock, in my opinion.
Yeah, they're not really trying to flex or anything. They take it serious, and that shows in their play.
I like what we've seen so far. For anyone who missed the action, let's recap it here as we take a look back at game number 1. Coming in, as always, with this current strategy. We know the main tanks are so important. Brent, who's winning the tank war?
Yeah, so this is pretty much overwhelmingly in Shock's favor. You can see Sado's getting pressured out a lot on this main tank role. And a big part of this is the fact that San Francisco Shock are very effective at kind of splitting him off from the rest of the team. They do this by actually using a lot of their displacement abilities. So there's a couple of characters in the game that are able to physically move the main tank, Sado in this case, and pressure him separately away from the rest of the team, kind of splitting him up so he can't get any support. And this was the reoccurring theme of map 1 and almost map 2 in a way as well, is their ability to kind of pressure the overextending Sado when he goes too further forward. And here you can see the statistics as well. The biggest numbers I've got to point your attention to right at the bottom there, the deaths. You can immediately see the way the game went. Super with 4 deaths, Sado with 8, twice as much. I mean, you just need to look at that one number there and you can already just imagine the outcome of where the match went.
Sado was kind of getting battered there by everybody on the San Francisco Shock, while Super seems to be kind of the spearhead for his team on the charge. When you look at the numbers so far, it's all been in favor of Super, but we always knew Super had this potential. He had a rough week 1, but Zoe, he continues to elevate his game.
He really does. As we mentioned before, it's not just him, it's him and the whole team. If you are a main tank, you need the supports to have your back. You do need those bubbles which will protect you from that Zarya. You do need the Lucio to chime in. You need every support you can get, even more so when you're on the aggressive side, such as Super. And that's just what makes this team so very strong. They are on the same page, they coordinate well, they know when to engage and when to disengage. On the other side, it looks like the Fusion want to be as aggressive, but they're not really backing it up with the coordination. They go in and then they don't back out. They're not as good as really realizing and recognizing the win condition they have during a fight. So very often it's not just them overextending, it's them not disengaging to reassemble themselves a little bit.
And Brent, we were talking about just how smart San Francisco was. Of course, this is our 2nd season of the Overwatch League, but Sinatra and Super, they were 17 years old when they were picked up by this squad. You have to be a league 18 years old to be eligible to play. The long con has definitely paid off, and look at these numbers coming in from the young guns.
Yeah, look at this. This is for the entire match now. You can see Super, those 4 deaths that he got in map 1, yeah, they stayed that way. He didn't die once in the 2nd map here against Sado. Just absolutely dominating. And as you said, Puckett, as well, this guy, he's, you know, a rookie all through and through. He came into the league late last year. He just turned 18, him alongside his partner, Sinatra, this tank duo, and they have absolutely led Shock, and they are leading them right now to potentially their first championship win.
The Shock is looking so good, very familiar, if you were, or very similar, I should say, to Vancouver, which we saw in our first match against the Seoul Dynasty. But if you're a Philadelphia Fusion fan, this fight is not over yet. It's going to be the first to win 4 maps, and there could still be a Fusion comeback. Let's talk about how that happens, starting with this 3rd map. Fusion will get to choose which level they're going to be playing on. Zoe, where would you like to see them go?
Honestly, like just looking back at how they played in previous matches, I almost think they're going to go for Horizon. We saw an absolutely fantastic, phenomenal defense with the Winston they had on Horizon. They do have a good record, 2-0. They have not lost that map. Granted, Shock isn't looking too shabby either on that map, so it's going to be hard regardless. Volskaya is a little bit of a coin toss, and even though the San Francisco Shock has not looked great on it, there's just a lot of potential on that map for everything to go full mayhem. So I'm not sure if that's the right map to
Well,
be.
we know that Sato is losing the fight when playing the big knight Reinhardt. Is it time to bring out the monkey, Brent? Do you agree with Horizon?
100%, yeah. Horizon and Economy, even Volskaya, as Zoe said, you know, you can take them onto these maps. This is the beauty of this format where we've got where the loser can pick the map. They can just jump straight into whatever they're comfortable with now. So potential here now for Fusion to make a comeback.
All right, Philly fans, let it be known if you want to see your team moving on. Cheer here in the venue. Let us know in the chat if you're watching on twitch.tv. And if you're at home watching on your television, go get yourself a glass of water. We'll be right back after this break.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by Toyota, official North American partner of the Overwatch League. Toyota, let's go places.
Excelsior game.
You know what's up.
Welcome back from the break, everybody, and the halftime show. Bren, Zoe, doing a fantastic job highlighting some of the moments from our first two maps here in this second semifinal.
All right, I can do that job. This number is bigger than that other number. This guy is swinging the hammer a little harder. This team is dominating the other team. It has been a very one-sided affair so far, but Philadelphia, we mentioned, always has that comeback potential.
Well, that's right, Hex. Okay, I guess you don't want to cast with me. Maybe you just head down there next time.
No, it's easy. This is a challenge for you.
Oh, man, I mean, as far as this match is concerned, though, is this shocking you in any way?
No, not really.
Yeah, it is the San Francisco show.
We expected some, like I said, the seeding was a little bit misleading. You know, you had 6 seed. Philadelphia had an easy schedule. We only had 7 matches in our first stage, so the strength of schedule did matter a lot who's going to get there. Most people who are very familiar with the teams in the league and have watched all of the games had San Francisco as one of the top 3 teams in the league.
Exactly right. They've been outperforming everybody in the Beast, and well, Super, Sinatraa, a lot of focus on these guys, but for good reason. They're essentially turning into the main stars of this roster. They're always at the front line. They're always getting things done, and you saw, I mean, that hard job in terms of comparing numbers. I mean, those were big numbers going up for the Shock.
Yeah, but there's some unsung heroes, too. I mean, Choi Ho-bin has been negating ultimates from the other side of teams, eating gravitons, as the colloquialism goes. Moth has played great. Violet has been a silent killer here, and Rascal. On the Brigida, just do your job. We are going to Horizon Lunar Colony. How's this work?
We go into captures. Think assault, think running them down. 2 points on this map. You control the first one and you get to move on to the second one. And this is a map where, depending on how much time you have, you can keep going back and forth. If they keep getting 2 points each time, you basically keep it going until they run out of time, and that's it. So it's going to be the Fusion on the offense. First time around, they'll be the ones taking first crack at this. The Shock on defense. As far as the rosters are concerned, neither of them coming up with any of the crazy stuff that we can see on this map.
Well, it looks like they're going to dance through this door, fake going out to the space atmosphere. And instead of going up the stairs, they're going to try to take this, but Shocker collapsing on them.
Oh, wow. Boombox dropping dangerously low. Poco not really getting the support. And the Carpe getting cut off from the rest of them. There is a bit of a ride there. Sato now, he's in a tight spot. And, well, he doesn't have to worry about that for much longer. He is gone. And the Fusion trying to press, trying to take that. You made a great point, Hex, in terms of the aggression of the teams at the top of the scene right now, where they're the ones who are setting the pace. They're the ones who are deciding on what terms they take fights.
Right.
And it looks like Fusion were trying to get some of that going their way, right? Like, we're going to take the fight to you. And they just got spread out.
Yeah, we spoke about the offensive prowess of the Shock, but right there, Rascal almost died, and the rest of his team peeled for him, meaning they went to his aid. He was in trouble. Everyone collapsed on his position, and then they punished Philadelphia for being unable to secure the kill, and ended up getting a few kills of their own. Walking up the stairs, very tight choke point, hard for the offense. They have to use an ultimate to get in.
Yeah, they're going to go ahead and commit with it, and it works. Rascal stuck, stunned, out of angle, and now he is going to be the weak link here because the Shock are down a man. Sinatra's got the grab coming online.
He'll throw it in.
Nearly have the trance as well. Sinatra's been so good about hitting grabs all fight long. And sure enough, hides it behind the pillar, brings everybody on the Fusion side in. Moth kills his counterpart Neptuno. Trance is thrown in by Violet as well to keep his teammates up, and once again, the Shock turning the tide their way. Perhaps 2 ticks picked up for the Fusion. And the sound barrier gets thrown in for the Shock, as well as the self-destruct. Just everything here for the Shock trying to hold as best they can.
Counter Graviton, Moth goes down, and that's what Poco is known for. The giant self-destruct gets himself 3. Like I said, rabbit out of a hat, victory from the jaws of defeat.
And that was, yeah, you can see Poco there. That's cutting it way too close. That's a huge self-destruct on his side, but the Shock were hanging in that fight. Even though they had lost the first man, didn't matter. They were still a real threat, and Fusion just had to sneak that out.
Now they're getting after it. Another Graviton from Sinatra is going to lead to the first kill. Defender's advantage is huge on the second point of assault. The defenders respawn right outside that door, so any sort of kill you can get on defense is a good start.
Oh, buddy. No, Rascal out of line of sight. Not going to get the heals from Violet, who tries to go for the trance to save his team. So much healing, and the sound barrier getting thrown in by Neptuno. These teams are getting cut up right now. Shock kind of spread out, and the Fusion taking advantage of it. They've already got 1 tick, nearly 2 ticks on the second point, and there it is, the second tick. Looking very good. They just have to keep it together. Grab thrown in by Carpe. This time it connects, and it pulls them off the point. Does not allow the Shock to contest.
Objective-based game, have to stand on the objective and play dim defense. Really nice Graviton pulls them off.
Excellent work on the side of the Fusion. This is more what we were expecting to see going into this semi. We're taking a break, and we'll be right back with the second half.
Coca-Cola is the official refreshment of the Overwatch League.
live here from the Blizzard Arena in Los Angeles, and we are going to be getting into the match. Teams are going to change sides now, and it's going to be the San Francisco Shock on offense, Fusion on defense after that excellent offensive push on their side, picking up the 2 points available on this map. So now it's on the Shock to do the same. Perfectly capable of it, but the Shock did look a little shaky there. The Fusion, perhaps they did manage to hit their stride there, start determining when the fights would go down, and it definitely played out in their favor.
It definitely seemed like they were playing much more aggressive and more importantly, much more decisive. When they decided to make a play, everybody went with it. I'd rather have 6 people doing the wrong thing than 3 people doing one thing and 3 people doing another. This is also Philadelphia's map choice, and it's largely because Sato can play the Winston main tank rather than the Reinhardt main tank. Very different styles, more mobility, things along those lines. He's much more comfortable on that hero.
Yeah, they spotted it as well, so a bit of the early recon there. Bit of the early information, and we're going to have a Moira making an appearance. Violet going for the change.
Moira does a lot of healing very, very quickly, but the reason you want to run her is that her ultimate ability charges very, very fast. So you want to be able to get your ultimate up before anyone on the opposing team has the chance to respond to it.
Don't be concerned. This is a video game. They can somehow breathe in space. Not a problem. Not a problem here in Overwatch.
There is low gravity, though. Takes them a long time to set up this rotation. They like get knocked back right away, too.
It's so hard to get through that choke point, and it's the Fusion. They're in a perfect position now to just hold at the door. Sato couldn't be happier. As soon as you try and push forward, he's going to be cleaving you all down. Oh! No! Neptuno gets him. Somehow can't get back into position.
This one is rough. It's just taking them so long to even set up. This is a style or a strategy we saw in the early weeks of Stage 1 in the Overwatch League.
Yes.
But teams realized it's not really worth it. The time it takes to set up, if you're failing, you could have had 2 pushes in that amount of time.
Sure, and you got to be asking yourself the question, how is there gravity here? Earth gravity, and then outside, you step out a door, no more gravity. Hex, how does that work? Well, EQO doesn't have to ponder the meaning of these questions anymore. He's gone, as well as Boombox and Neptuno. That's the entire back line for the Fusion eliminated. And that's going to set it up here perfectly for the Shock to take this first point.
They're going to get a couple early kills. Sato very low. Sato now back in spawn, and it looks like a clean fight here for the San Francisco Shock. Violet still on that Moira. Will very likely switch once they capture their spawn point. Will move forward, so he's going to be able to go back and spawn, switch to the hero he wants, but the Shock keeping pace with Philadelphia's offense.
And yeah, sticking to the game plan. They didn't even have to use it. Instant switch to the Zenyatta on Violet, off of the Moira. So now we're back into more of the standard fare here. Gets that Discord orb in. And so on the Fusion side, they do have some ults online. Sato's got that Primal, so we'll see when he decides to pop that. Leaping up to the high ground for now. Sinatra ready to dive right in. He could spot the opening here for the grab, but you've already lost 2, so there's no point. Just back off. Sato's used his Primal as well, so you got something out of that fight.
Discretion, the better part of valor. Time to go home, rethink, set up your next fight, especially on the offense. You're walking so far into this that you're always going to be at a respawn disadvantage. So on your offense, you need to have almost a perfect fight. They're going to solo Graviton Carpe.
Oh, sick play. What a snap decision from Sinatra. Nets him 2 kills and a huge advantage now. Rest of them are going to be falling on the Fusion side. That's 1 tick picked up. Going to be a second here as well. Now they have to wait to rally up together, but it's going to be hanging on by a thread. Self-destruct thrown right over the top. Going to find a kill on Sato somehow. No longer have the main tank to hide behind. Carpe with the grab of his own, but no follow-up possible on the side of the Fusion, and this is it. They are going to get it done. If they are off this point an instant on the Fusion side, the Shock are going to do it. Tying it up 2-2, just like that.
It's very, very nice play there. Just the instant gut reaction instinct to solo Graviton Carpe, take him out of the fight. Without a Zarya, how are you ever going to kill anything? You simply don't have the damage to do it. Super swings through. Great take there from San Francisco.
Yeah, what excellent work. Both of these teams so even now. Glad to see that Fusion, as you can see, are on the board, tied up 2-2. Well, we are going to be moving off from ABC now and moving over to ESPN3. So to keep up with the action, be sure to tune in there. And welcome to everybody tuning in on ESPN3. This is the second semifinal of the Overwatch League going down here live in Los Angeles from the Blizzard Arena. Team on your screen right now, San Francisco Shock, are currently in the lead 2-0 over their opponents, the Philadelphia Fusion. Philadelphia Fusion right now putting up one hell of a fight though, Hex.
Hanging on for their playoff lives here. Single elimination. They've got to win a couple of maps here. It is first to 4, you see. San Francisco already has 2 maps on the board. We've already played a bit of this map, Horizon Lunar Colony, our assault map here. Each team was able to successfully take both point A and point B. Now we're gonna do it again with the time bank. 4:43 in the bank for San Francisco on their next attack. All right, trying to set up now. Lucio, Chop, trying to get boops. Another Moira strategy, Seb.
It worked really well though for the Shock the first time around. So it's looking like that's going to be the name of the game here. Straight on to the point, or looking for it. The Fusion not so happy to try and take the fight straight up like last time, though. They got cut up, and so this time they're trying to play a little bit more carefully, make sure that their supports are getting the support that they need, but then never mind. Somehow, despite it all, the defense set up by the Fusion, the Shock still succeed in finding a kill on Neptuno to kick things off.
Oh, Moth and Neptuno were having their own private Lucio battle in the background, but then he got aid from his ally, made it an unfair fight. Still have to try to brawl this out if you're Philadelphia.
Yeah, that is going to be at the Lighthouse shining forth now on the side of Violet. Just damage and healing in that wonderful beam, shining the way for his team to victory. They will succeed in picking up the first point in fine fashion here. The Shock just rolling right through.
The aptly named Coalescence ability, combining the pain and the heals. They're going to stick on this Moira, an interesting strategy.
Straight on to the point, and actually this might be, there it is, first tick picked up already. And really forcing the Fusion's hand. They cannot allow any more progress. They have to take the fight. Ult's already in use now, and Carpe's got the grab online, but we've just lost Poco's mech, and that's not going to help things. Sinatra spots an opening, gets the grab, and that's Ikkyo and Sato out of the fight. 2 ticks picked up for the Shock, and they're looking for a third as well, and they'll find it! Boombox not able to contest, right on the edge.
The Moira strategy is so interesting too because it puts so much pressure on the D.Va. Defense Matrix, a great ability, stops projectiles in the world, can stop bullets even, like the Matrix name would imply. However, does not stop beam damage, which both Zarya and Moira do. They pressured out the D.Va at the end, which makes sure that the Graviton Surge can hit whatever targets it wants. They're able to mop it up, and Philadelphia, looking defeated, got to dig deep and find something to play for here.
And Poco drawn in the focus, trying to find those self-destruct kills, wasn't quite able to this time around. Carpe not pleased with how this is turning out. And Ikkyo, who's turning into the leader for this team, doing a lot of the coordinating, really trying to keep this team together. We see him doing most of the talking right now.
He's got to be the one to bring them back. He's a very calm player, very methodical, logical player, does not get overheated. But you got to find something to bring your team back into it, because that was about as fast as an offense you're going to see on Horizon Lunar Colony. Brings San Francisco's total score so far up to 4 points. They still have 3.5 minutes in their time bank. Now Philadelphia's got 5 minutes to try to duplicate what the San Francisco Shock just accomplished.
They're capable of it. Like you say, they've got plenty of time to work with here. So, still Ikkyo getting everybody on point. We're starting to see him loosen up a little bit here, and it's go time for the Fusion. 4-2 the score, Shock in the lead, and now it's the Fusion on the offense, trying to tie things up. Volley right out the gates from Boombox, hoping to get lucky, not quite gonna find it, but they are electing to try and wrap. And it is looking like perhaps the outside strategy, although we have seen teams juke it, and yep, they take a pause outside, hope to draw the Shock out of position, and then right back through on the low side. Last time they did this, though, it didn't really work out for them, and yep, sure enough, Shock take the bait, though, and that's a quick play from the Fusion. It's bait, it's mind games on top of mind games here on the Fusion side.
Smart rotations. They're just going to fall back to the point. However, they are ceding high ground in this scenario.
Oh, what excellent work on the side of the Fusion. I'm loving this. And so Sato now taking point. Choi's got to be careful he doesn't get cut off from his mates, and Boombox has got to keep on top of those heals. Bit of damage is in here, however, and they are keeping it together, but Choi's dropping dangerously low on the side of the Shock. He will somehow survive and stay in that mech. And so far, the Shock holds. Minutes has been worn off this clock. We're down to 4 minutes for the Fusion.
I'm not entirely sure what the Fusion is waiting for. Maybe until Transcendence comes up. It's about to come online for Boombox.
Deep breath moment here for the Fusion. Had a chance to catch up with them during the break, and they were saying that they were nervous on the first 2 maps, but now they feel like they've made the adjustments necessary. Now or never, guys. You got to prove it. Do you have what is necessary to take the win versus one of the best teams in the league?
Oh, the rally gets knocked off the edge, so not everyone going to get that armor there as they try to rotate back in. Never mind.
Zato, he got so low, he had to back off there. Still hanging on by just a thread, and no, it's not gonna be for long. The cleanup is in. Sinatra gets the grab through, and now they're looking for the cleanup follow-up. Super just charging right into the thick of things. And they will be able to back off and reset here on the Fusion side. We do have the support ults coming online on Boombox and Neptuno, and then Carpe's got the grab, so they will have tools to use here in this next push.
Boombox is trying to put the team on his back. Already had a Transcendence that he used earlier, now nearing another Transcendence. Let's see, for San Francisco, it's just the support ultimates up. Those supers got Earthshatter online.
This is where you got to get out of your own head. You got to get focused on the game. You're not playing to not lose. You're playing to win, and you need to show that if you're the Fusion. Shatter point blank from Super, lays him out, but we will have the trance on the Boombox side of things, so that's one support ultimate used now for the Fusion. Rascal had the rally as well for his team.
It's always so dangerous using Transcendence against San Francisco because Sinatra's gonna have Graviton any second.
And he doesn't waste an instant. Hex just throws it right out there. Violet finds the kill on Carpe. Self-destruct goes off, sound barrier, and the shield up from Super. And Fusion, they just threw everything in here, and they get nothing for it.
They get absolutely nothing. Pushed out, Zato dies with his Earthshatter. A late Transcendence going to make sure that the San Francisco Shock stay alive through this. Perhaps an ultimate that could have been saved or preserved. Regardless, 2 minutes remain for the Philadelphia Fusion to just capture at least point A. Otherwise, they're going to be down to their last life.
This is going to be it. Just to remind you, the San Francisco Shock, they have won 2 maps in this series already. 2-0 the score, and we're looking for the first team to reach 4 maps in this second semifinal. So the San Francisco Shock looking good. They can continue to hold out for another minute and a half. That's going to put them up 3-0, and it's really going to put the Fusion in a tight spot. Fusion, once again, working their way right up onto the high ground. Balcony room, let's see. Can they find anybody? Choi's got the self-destruct. He's holding on to that for now by the looks of things. Right up here on the high ground. That's dicey. He's going to pay for it. Gets caught, but he does have the self-destruct to get a fresh mech.
Another grab in from Sinatra goes in. EQO down first. You didn't follow our broadcast yesterday. When EQO dies, the Philadelphia Fusion simply do not win fights. He's got to stay alive, keep his team sustained. Sinatra on the pop-up. You also want to give a lot of credit to Violet there, too. If you look at the assist bar in the kill feed, a lot of help from his Zenyatta player. Zenyatta and Zarya, that's the meta.
All the Discord orbs. So much damage, Amp. And while Violet, you know, it's like Sinatra, he's already at 46% on his grav. Violet's nearly got the trance online. This is going to be so tough for the Fusion to crack now. They have Neptuno's sound barrier, and Carpe's getting close to the grav, but that's pretty much it. It's gonna have to be a long fight so that they can get some tools to work with here.
Below 30 seconds, there's no way they're falling for that. You're going outside. Now it's desperation time. Someone's gonna have to come up clutch.
Same exact strategy as we saw earlier. Bait them off of the high ground, and now you go ahead and take over the balcony room. So this kind of worked earlier. Now it's about Fusion executing. They are getting closer to those ultimates. Boombox has nearly got the trance, Carpe with the grab, and Neptuno with the sound barrier to kick things off perhaps. Hoping to cut somebody off there, but it's not happening. The Shock playing so well, just giving ground as it comes through. Violet with the trance there to cancel out the grab. Poco with the self-destruct. No kills this time.
Counter grab,
and 2 kills just like that. It's the Fusion falling apart at the very end. Sound barrier thrown in by Neptuno. Might make the difference as Moth and Violet fall here for the Shock. But Rascal still has the rally, and that might make all of it here.
Neptuno and Boombox did their best, but it is Super and Sinatra who mop it up. San Francisco Shock will take our 3rd map. They are now up 3-0, 1 map away from going to the finals.
Excellent work on the side of the Shock. Philadelphia right now, they need to believe that they can take this win despite it all. We're taking a quick break, and we'll hit map 4 after that.
The Overwatch League is powered by Intel. Game, record, stream without compromise on Intel Core i7. And by Omen by HP, the official PC and display of the Overwatch League.
They don't just play for a team. They play for every fan, every rival, every moment, every match. And when everyone watching expects the best, they perform with the best.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by T-Mobile. High ground or low ground, T-Mobile has you covered.
And we're live with potentially a nightmare situation here for the Philadelphia Fusion. Not potentially, they are in one. They've got to win out, Hex. They're down 0-3. It's the first team to 4. They have a long way ahead of them. They want to make it into the finals of the stage 1 tomorrow.
They're going to have to win 4 maps in a row to do just that. And it's very difficult in this format because the losing team gets to pick the map. Philadelphia has lost the last couple, been picking their best maps. It just hasn't worked out. And there is no sign of hope on any of the faces of the players. They are having a rough one right now. You have to play to win. You have to let loose now. You've been playing a certain style all day. Maybe try something different. One of their best maps, though, is Rialto, which is our 4th map. It is the choice of the Philadelphia Fusion.
Yeah, you know, it's like there's a very big difference in the body language of both of these teams. You got Philly Fusion, they're just there stone-faced, you know, just ready to accept whatever comes. San Francisco Shock, you know, they're just laughing, chuckling to themselves, you know, wiggling and just looking real good right now.
Yeah.
Definitely the winner's mindset over on that side of the stage. And well, they're going to keep going because now they're on offense here on Rialto. This is very straightforward. You start with the payload at the start, you push the payload as far as you can in the amount of time that you have to work with. So San Francisco Shock are going to be the first ones on the offense here.
Through the beautiful Rialto area of Venice, the Rialto Bridge. A lot of corners on this map, a lot of 90-degree turns, makes defense pretty easy on this map as defender's advantage here. You're able to hold and peek corners. Philadelphia Fusion have their own style of defense. They like to play a Winston on this map. It's a very good map for them. They feel like it's one of their strong points.
So early. Ooh, Sato tempting him. Taunting him or just letting him know, hey, I might drop right on top of you, but they are going to get across the bridge. So the first hurdle has been crossed here for the Shock. Fusion just going to drop right down on him now, but EQO once again going to go down. We trade with Violet, but this still favors the Shock.
It's very
Their
bad.
spawn is closer, and so Violet's going to be back into this fight way before EQO.
Well, Brigitte has a lot of utility, too. It's the only burst healing you have with one of her abilities, throwing an armor pack at the team. So if someone gets very low and needs healing very quickly, you need the Brigitte there. They don't have it. They have to play more passively now.
Oh, man, look at all this progress. Boombox gets spotted by Choi. Choi might pay for with his life here for overextending. Sure enough, no mech for him. Gonna cost him. In the meantime, Carpe has been just doing massive damage on the other side of things, and it's looking like the Fusion are finally gonna win a fight.
Some great play there by Neptuno to keep his buddy Boombox alive. The Lucio comes to the aid of the Zenyatta. They're able to punish Choi Hobin for an aggressive dive. But very good progress here on the first push. They don't have to worry about these 2 tough corners. Now out in open space, just 1 push away from reaching the first checkpoint.
Exactly, and now they get to move right on up to the high ground here, uncontested. Sato's going to be poking, and so there's the information gained, instantly backing off. Carpe's got to be careful, though. He's kind of out in no man's land. Looks like he will be able to make it back to his team. A little bit dicey, but the fight continues here on the point. Neptuno's got to be careful, though. He drops down to half.
Oh, this is uncharacteristic. Sinatra with no energy and no shields to gain energy. It's almost a lost fight just looking at that number.
Yeah, that was brutal. Shatter gets thrown in, though, by Super, but the trance is there from Boombox. That's going to keep everybody up on the side of the Fusion. And the Fusion will send the Shock packing. 2 minutes burned off the clock here, Hex. Shock only have 2 minutes left.
A bit questionable there from Super to commit that ultimate unless he may be switching heroes. Always an option to go to a Winston of your own if you feel you need to contest high ground. But Super's also the kind of player who supremely believes in his abilities to win fights alone.
Exactly, and we also have the case that Boombox used the trance there. So now Sinatra's just going to be rubbing his hands together in glee like, okay, grab time. You're not going to have necessarily everything to stop me from ruining your day either. Got to be careful there, Moth. He's getting focused down by Sato. Still hangs in there thanks to his mobility, wall riding all over the place. And Sinatra's now just this remaining threat. Yep, sure enough, he's going to use his solo on EQO. EQO gets melted immediately. Rest of his team are trying to make their way in here to support him, but it's too late. And the bomb goes off, but it's not close enough. 2 big kills here to start things off for the Shock.
Just Carpe sitting on the high ground, but it doesn't matter. He's probably just going to jump off the edge and reset, making sure that his health pool does not transfer into the ultimate pool to the other team via damage done.
It's admirable on the side of Sinatra as well, right? You know, not many Zaryas would just go for that, but he spots it, sees the solo grab, says, oh, we'll get value with that. removes EQO, and that starts the party.
I mean, getting one kill is enough in these style of fights. When you're going 6v5 and everyone's pumped up, missing out on abilities from a single hero is enough to flip the fight.
Well, grab thrown in by Carpe, doesn't get eaten this time, and they will manage to just go for the full cleanup here. Shock not even using any ults, holding on to it, and so once again, maintaining the edge in the ult economy. You can see 4 check marks online here for Shock. Those are the ultimate abilities that they're just constantly working their way up towards. On the side of the Fusion, a little light.
A little light, but they should be able to get their EQO will get there. They will have all 3 of their support ultimates up, which will heal the team.
Ooh, sandwich! Looking for it, self-destruct, no angles, shatter there, but Super gets booped off the side by Neptuno. Still, we trade Rhine for Rhine. Violet and Boombox going for the Transcendence, trying to keep their teams up, trying to absorb it without these tanks to help. Poco gonna get D-Mex though. That's gonna make it a bit difficult now for the Fusion to challenge. They'd still try to keep moving forward, but we're gonna lose Neptuno as well, and now progress is possible here for the Shock.
Sinatra just solo grabbing all day. It was totally fine. He had a diva alone. If you're alone, you will get Graviton. Sinatra does not care. He has so much energy usually. He charges so fast. He does more damage than any other Zarya in the league, really. So he's going to have his ultimate ability online quickly enough that he knows exactly how his style of play works.
I mean, look at that. He just used his grab. He's already up to 40% again. So, yes, a real threat. Carpe's got his grab on his side. He does hit it once again as well. They were able to take advantage of this last time, but here the high ground is occupied by the Shock, and the support are there to keep their teammates up.
Super's got to be careful. He gets isolated. Good protection from the rest of his team.
And now we're going to get the counter grab. There it is! Sinatra again manages to get it through. Do we have the follow-up, though? Super dropping dangerously low, but we will have the Trance in the nick of time. Choyobin goes at the hands of Carpe, but we lose Sato and EQO on the side of Fusion. Sinatra just melting him.
This one is all over the place. I believe Boombox is behind the enemy team. He gets a late Transcendence, trying to bring it back for his team. There's a shatter, knocks Poco down. Poco almost out of it. Neptuno down. Is that another Graviton from Blue Eyes?
How is he getting him so fast? That is nuts.
Sinatra living the dream, swinging on a star, if you will. They will get the second checkpoint.
2 grabs in the same fight. You don't see that every day.
He did it his way.
Oh man, what a monster. Well, Shock now. This is looking great for him. 2 points picked up on the map. There's a final checkpoint. You can see Super here, he's dancing right on it. That rectangle on the floor, that is the final point as far as you can push the payload. It's on the Fusion now to stop him. 2 minutes on the clock here for the Shock. And they do have 1 ult about to come online. They do have 1 ult online, rather. That's Moth with the sound barrier. Fusion not far from the ults on their side, though, so they will have a bit of an edge in this next fight.
Now you want to save these support ults to be defensive. Graviton will be incoming from Carpe. There it is.
Yeah,
Transcendence immediately answered.
Yeah, but they still managed to remove Sinatra. Self-destruct over the top, doesn't find any victories there. And the sound barrier now starting to wear off into a straight shatter onto Choi. Choi somehow not focused down. They elected to go for Violet instead, and that will bear out here. The Fusion winning a fight and forcing the Shock back to spawn.
That's San Francisco. When you lose your Zarya, who's such a big percentage of your damage dealt, you're not going to win it. A very late kill onto the Pilot Diva. Strategy called staggering, making sure that she has to get late respawns, pushes them all the way back to their spawn point.
Now you're just gonna get Fusion. I mean, this is valuable time getting burnt off the clock for the Shock. They're down to 60 seconds.
Yeah, with under a minute, you very likely only have 1 push. And Philadelphia is gonna make sure that they have to push here, and then Philadelphia, even if they get full team wipe, will spawn again. And so essentially, San Francisco must win 2 fights to complete the map.
They have to win out, but Sato is dropping so low. It forces Boombox. Boombox uses the Trance just to keep him up. Sinatra's about to get the grab online, Trance. Or Hex, rather.
Trance, Hex, it's all the same.
It's all the same, but I mean, this is going to be monstrous. Oh, what a great shatter, though, from Sato. Focus fires there. Super's out of it. No big shield to hide behind now. Violet with the Trance trying to keep him up. Point blank. Oh, what a monster play! Oh, it goes right back on the side of Poco as well. 3 for 3 in the Fusion. They win out.
1 good bomb deserves another. Great setup, great play from both of these divas, but with the remaining members of Philadelphia left, they should be able to defend this. However, if they even get to the payload, they got it.
Oh man, they do manage to touch, and so overtime bar.
Oh, EQO went down.
This is not helping things here. Fusion, keep it together, guys. You got to keep focused. Entirely possible for you to end it here, to hold the line and deny the Shock 3 points on this map.
There's a Shatter, but there's a Sound Barrier on the other side. Those are the only ultimates online right now.
Yeah, this is about Moth avoiding these lines of sight. And yeah, he's just preemptively uses it. Sound Barrier down.
Smart.
Looking for EQO. And Sato as well. Super just wrecking face right now. Poco gets demeched, and this has certainly got to be 3 points here for the Shock. Shatter to deny him. Gonna take him for a ride right into the wall. And the Shock, they're gonna get the job done. Nothing Fusion can do. What a play.
Clutching it out at the ends. San Francisco will finish Rialto and put even more pressure on the Philadelphia Fusion. If they do not complete this map on their offense, they're out. You're going home.
This is it. You can see just how one-sided of an affair this has been for the Shock. 2-0 on the first map, 3-0 on the second. There's a little bit more of a fight on Philly there. Last map, 4-2. But we had a replay of the Super Shatter. I like saying that, actually. That sounds pretty good, Super Shatter. Just managed to come right through. And
he's just trying to get in. Immediately tries to charge.
Right there. Surprise!
Gets bashed momentarily, but that sets up the kill late onto EQO there. And I love this Shock team because it's not even really a measured aggression. They just think they're better than the other guy in front of them. And they're like, yeah, I'll use my ult. I'm going to have it again. Don't worry about it. Don't worry. Like,
I mean, that's still
guys,
a mind-blowing performance from Sinatra. It's just like, oh, how long has this fight been going on? Not that long. I still get a second grab. That's fine.
It has been, you know, those two that we talked about so much. They're the personality of the team, too. They're aggressive players. They always have been, even when they weren't on teams. They play aggressively in the ranked or the home version of Overwatch, if you will. And they're just a joy to watch.
Be sure now, don't miss out on the start of Stage 2, Thursday, April 4th, 4 p.m. PST. Be there. Don't miss it. And we're going to be, I mean, everywhere, basically. But you guys can always consistently find us at twitch.tv/Overwatch League. We got the broadcasts there live and on video. Be sure to check it out.
VHS. All right, pushing through is the Philadelphia offense. Again, their win condition, or even to stay alive, they must finish Rialto, get all of the checkpoints all the way through. San Francisco's defense is able to hold up. They will be meeting the Vancouver Titans in the finals tomorrow at noon.
And what a match that will be. Cannot wait. The Titans pretty much undefeated all season long. Truly monstrous team. And now we're going to find out as the Shock, well, they're on defense, but Rascal gets picked to kick things off. That's not going to favor things. Exactly. It's going to make life difficult for him.
San Francisco playing this really smart. They're in the house, but it's close enough to the payload that it stops it from moving. However, with Super and Moth falling, this should be some progress for the Philadelphia Fusion.
Exactly. We lose Choyoba and Sinatra as well. That's just a hard reset on the side of the Shock. Okay, you did what you could. Sinatra's nearly got a grab already. You're going to get another chance at this.
Carpe's nearing it as well, though. Carpe's already at 80, so you see how important the Zaryas are just as far as damage output there. Both of them doing enough to near their ultimate abilities. And yeah, there will be a fight before this first checkpoint. A Shatter denied.
Oh no, Sato, that's so frustrating. Tries to go for it, gets stunned. Trans on both sides, thrown out by the Zenyatas. Rascal gets removed though once again, so we're not gonna have him to deal with, but we will get the grab on grab action, and it's just a full-on fiesta. 2 kills for the Shock, a monster Shatter getting thrown in.
And no cleanup though, he got knocked back. They had a couple of the supports in the back lines knocked down, unable to get him. But I don't know if it's going to matter. The respawn right now is pretty much closer to the defenders at this point. It's right across the bridge. Meanwhile, offense spawns all the way back at a bridge too far.
A bridge too far, and you got to deal with the mortar fire as well, just coming in here from Sinatra. More than happy to oblige. Already at 50% on his grab.
Well, Poco has been pulling miracles all day. He's one of the only reasons it hasn't been even more one-sided. He's got self-destruct ready. There's nothing to combo with it, so maybe he waits or maybe he just goes for an angle and prays.
Are we going to get some of that magic that we've seen? The Poco bombs, always a possibility. Could drop it right in the room instead. It's going to be EQO getting nailed, this time by Rascal. And there's the rally. This is going to be Rascal making the difference for his team now, giving him that bonus armor. It's going to make them more difficult to kill. And well, it is bearing out. Sinatra melts Sato. 2 quick kills here. And now Neptuno going to get pinned to the wall like modern art. He's gone.
And that fight almost wins them the next fight. And I'll explain why. It's because they use Transcendence. Great ability, keeps Zenyatta invulnerable, heals everybody at a super high rate. It's the best defense against getting Gravitons. You know what Sinatra's been doing all day? He's been Gravitoning the heck out of this team. They have no defense for it. On paper, there should be a one fight for San Francisco. He goes for it!
Surprise, surprise! You're done! Triple kill just like that. Sinatra, he sets the trap and they ran right into it.
We are under 1 minute for Philadelphia's playoff life. If they do not reach this checkpoint, they can get on the bus and head home.
Oh, buddy. All right, and now, I mean, that's just one ult used. So now, hey, still got to go through the Shatter. We still have the Trance online. Self-destruct on Choi. Looking good here for the Shock. The Fusion down to 30 seconds on the clock. They have to play perfectly from here on out. Oh, that's not how to do it! Carpe, he gets his grab eaten. Choi Oven here to ruin the party for the Fusion. Sato's done as well. This is a nightmare for the Fusion now. 10 seconds on the clock. You're still respawning. You're getting your ults eaten up, and the Shock, they're looking so good.
Nothing really to say about Philadelphia right now. It has been a misstep after a misstep throughout the day. Desperation time, looking for a miracle.
D-Mech on Poco as well.
Oh, guess who's got grabbed?
And there it is, brings EQ in. Come on, let me give you a hug. Sound barrier's there, and Sinatra gets a bit ahead of himself, perhaps, and this is possible now for the Fusion with that kill.
They're probably going to win this now.
Might have been the Shock overextending just a touch, and now, whoa, I don't know, they got the kill on Sato. This might be the Shock coming right back into this fight. Sinatra's going over to, what is this? We got a Bastion now?
Just coming out desperately, trying to get something going. There was a Desperation Transcendence. A huge shatter from Super!
Oh no, EQO is gone. Carpe now gonna get a bit of the focus, and now you got the turret. They've done it. The Shock. They win clean 4-0 over the Philadelphia Fusion. What a play from the Shock. Total and utter domination.
Literally scratching their heads, the Philadelphia Fusion. They had a good first stage, got themselves all the way to the semis, but you got to go back to the drawing board after a performance like that. That's not going to beat a top 3 team.
Oh man, Hex. I think that the Titans have got to be worried going into the finals tomorrow because the Shock are looking like Greek gods to me.
It was one of the best matches we had all season, actually. San Francisco Shock versus the Vancouver Titans. 3-1 in favor of the Titans in that matchup, but it could have gone either way. It was a nail-biter all the way to the end. San Francisco, they had a long-term plan in mind when they built this team. It's starting to pan out.
What excellent work. We're going to now get the winner's interview. Looks like we've got Super down on the floor with Mika. Let's hear what he has to say.
Thanks, guys. Yep, we got Super down here. Give it up, Shock fans. I see you here in the front row. I know you're stoked. Wow, that was a lot of energy I was not expecting. So you are one of the youngest players in OWL. You just aged in, and you are going into your first stage playoffs. Like, how are you feeling right now?
I mean, we kind of expected to make it, so, you know, just the usual.
I love your confidence. And speaking of which, you're going up against the Titans. They are undefeated. They are a scary team. People are saying that, you know, it's going to be tough to beat. I don't know how many people out there are believing in you. I know these guys right here are believing in you. So what? Whoa! I love this energy. So what will be your preparation going into what will probably be a fight to the death?
Well, we played them before, and we've scrimmed them, so we know how they play, and we think we go in, so.
This is just some serious confidence from Super. Or should I say some super confidence from Super? That's right, I said it. Back to you, casters.
Thank you, Mika, and thank you, Super, for continuing to show exactly why you are the force here in Overwatch League. 4-0 for the Titans versus the Dynasty in our first semifinals. Fusion get rocked 4-0 by the Shock. Who's gonna do it tomorrow, Hex? This is gonna be so big.
Once the NYXL were upset in the first round, we all kind of sat together and thought, well, who's a team that could challenge the Titans at least? Because they have been so dominant through their first stage. And unanimously, we all agreed that the Shock could. We saw them play earlier this year. They play similar styles. It is going to be, it's not even an immovable object. It's just an unstoppable force versus an unstoppable force. It's like a Hadron Collider where we might end time and space when these two teams fight against each other.
Oh, it'll be a good way to go out. Let's go ahead and see who's going to be at the cutting edge of this match. Our player of the match here today in this semifinal, presented by Omen by HP, Sinatra. definitely deserves it. Insane grab times, just farming them all day long. The damage as well, just making all the difference for his team.
What makes Vancouver so good is that their players are slightly unpredictable and even reckless, borderline reckless. Sinatra plays Zarya that same way. He takes chances, a lot of Zaryas don't. He's always out there, always a ton of energy. He is fine making a play that you do not expect. So they play the standard style, but they don't play standard.
But there's no hesitation from him when it comes to the grabs as well. If you're Poco, what a disaster. If you're trying to play against this guy, you're trying to get in his head. You're thinking like, when's the likely time that he's gonna throw the grab? There's no way to predict with Sinatra. You can see it, there's no hesitation. He's like, that's a good time. Oh, throws it out there. Yeah. Where can you be if you're Poco?
He's been an absolute prodigy, a phenom. I'm running out of superlatives to describe Sinatra, one of my favorite players for a very long time. And he's gonna show the Titans what he's got. This should be a great finals matchup. No one more deserving than Sinatra to win our player of the match. Owned by HP.
Yeah, you've been a fan for a long time, and I'm definitely getting on board there as well. What a player, what a monster. But the San Francisco Shock, they destroy the Fusion 4-0 in the semifinals. They'll be going on to the finals tomorrow where they'll face off against the Titans. Don't go anywhere, guys. We're gonna have the Watch Point post show coming up right after the break.
The Overwatch League is powered by Intel. Game, record, stream without compromise on Intel Core i7. And by Omen by HP, the official PC and display of the Overwatch League.